Hello and welcome to the Carbon Copy podcast Running Out of Time special. I'm Isabel Sparrow and this episode focuses on events yesterday as the relay baton visited an iconic sporting venue before travelling to Reading for the final day of Reading Climate Festival and Show Your Stripes Day. Carbon Copy is hosting the official podcast for the Climate Relay, and this is our 12th episode so far during this extraordinary people-powered event. We've met children and young people, sporting legends, councils, activists, and dozens of other people from across Britain who are working together to tackle the climate crisis and protect nature. So, if you want even more inspiring stories from the relay route, subscribe now to hear the episodes as soon as they land. Running Out of Time is a sporting celebration of climate action and nature, so clearly the opportunity to bring the baton to one of the world's most famous sporting venues, Lord's Cricket Ground, was not to be missed. Brad and I headed there on Friday morning ahead of the relay arriving, and we chatted to Stuart Dunlop, Sustainability and Accessibility Manager at Marylebone Cricket Club and Lords.
Well, thank you very much for having me. So I am the Sustainability and Accessibility Manager here at MCC. I guess my role is pretty varied on a day-to-day basis. The way that I like to split it up is you've got the Lord side, which is very much the kind of physical sustainability work that we do on the ground, and the MCC side, which is the kind of advocacy and campaigning work that we do.
And what does that advocacy work look like? I think that maybe people wouldn't necessarily know what the relationship between cricket and sustainability is. So can you talk a bit more about that?
Sure, yes. So it's very much tied to a lot of the events that are happening around the world with sustainability. So you see cricket as a sport being impacted by climate change almost more so than any other sport. So you've got wildfires in Australia causing kind of untold damage to wildlife out there and impacting cricket matches. You've got storms in the Caribbean which are destroying international cricketing venues. You've got extreme heat in the subcontinent in India. Which is causing conflict over resources, and a bit closer to home in the UK and England, you've got quite a lot of rain past couple of months and years, and what we're seeing is with the heavy rainfall naturally comes flooding, and there's numerous examples of cricket pitches all across the country which have been impacted by flooding, and it's really having a knock-on effect for future participation in the sport.
So it's quite a tricky one. What are you doing? What are the tactics that you've got in place to try and mitigate some of this?
Yeah. So like I said, we've got the Lord side. So on the Lord side, we like to focus on kind of several of the big hitting areas. So we've got a fairly comprehensive waste management program here. So in 2022, we were around 18% for overall recycling statistics. Last year, we brought that up to 40%, and we're aiming to go up to 100% as the time goes on. We've also focused on energy management at the ground. So we've got several renewable energy systems in place. We've got a ground source heat pump on the nursery pavilion, which provides heating and cooling for this building that we're in, actually, and for 3 other stands in the ground. We've got an array of solar panels across the ground as well, and we've got building management systems which we've recently put in, which means that we can control the energy usage and program it down to the very plug socket. So say, for example, there's a match on and there's a box that isn't being used during that day, we can control that. We can switch off all the energy assets there. It is a challenge, but what we've done is developed what we're terming a decarbonisation programme. So that looks at all gas appliances across the ground, specifically because we source electricity from renewables. And what we've outlined is that we've got several boilers here around the ground, which are used for heating and hot water. And then we've also got a lot of catering appliances across the ground. So in a given match day, there can be up to about 1,000 people providing catering services, a lot of which is using gas. So we are looking at alternatives to both gas boilers and cooking. And what we've identified is that we have air source heat pumps potentially for the gas boiling element, and induction stoves and hobs for the heating, for the cooking. I think initially people were quite surprised that we took this step. We've been working on this since 2009. We were the first sports club in the country to hire a full-time sustainability manager, but we didn't necessarily shout about it. So this year we've developed a communication strategy which is going out so the fans and the members are aware of what we're trying to do. It's about engaging with people in a non kind of patronising way, saying that we're the best and we're doing all of this work and everybody's kind of like catching up on us. I think you need to have an element of humility and an understanding that like this is a journey and we're going to make mistakes, and for us to get to where we need to be, we need participation from our spectators and our members.
The baton arrived a short time later, and we caught up with Relay co-founder Dan, who had just run with a sizable group of Relay participants from Highgate in North London. So here we are at Lord's Cricket Ground, and we've just been taken into the building through the long room, which I believe is something really special. I don't know very much about cricket, I'm just going to say that. I'm here with Dan, and he's holding the baton, having just run 8 kilometres.
We had a life of late K run in the sun. We had a beautiful, lovely visit to Highgate Primary School. Wonderful reception from the students, as always. And now we've had a really nice run. Hampstead Heath, Primrose Hill, Canal, up to Lord's. Beautiful.
We were taken by the lovely staff at Lord's on a tour, including a visit to the England team's changing room and out onto the pitch itself. There we saw the climate stripes projected on the big stadium screens and had the opportunity to walk around the field, where I caught up with Professor Charlton-Perez from the University of Reading.
So I'm here because we're really celebrating the climate stripes, one of the symbols of the relay, and something that was invented at the University of Reading as a simple way of communicating how our climate is changing in a way with no words, no figures, just a simple kind of visual representation of how our climate is changing and why we need action.
So as you can just about hear, probably, we're just being passed by an incredibly quiet electric lawnmower, which is carrying the batons, plural, across the pitch at Lord's. And we're walking across the Lord's pitch. You're a big cricket fan.
Oh, this is like, coming to Jerusalem or, a big shrine or something if you're a cricket fan. The chance to walk across the cricket pitch at Lord's is just amazing. I can't believe I'm here.
And what do you think is the sort of significance of climate action and sport? Like, how do you feel about the connection that's being made with this relay?
So I think it's really obvious to me. I love cricket, but I'm also a climate scientist, and so cricket's a summer sport. We know that our summers are going to get hotter, our heat waves are going to get longer and more intense. And so, I want to continue enjoying cricket for all of my life. I want my kids to continue enjoying cricket for the whole of their life. My eldest son's a mad keen cricketer. And if we don't take that climate action, if we don't act to stop our climate running away, then that's going to be much more difficult for him. And it's going to be much more difficult for the millions of people who play cricket and follow cricket all around the world. Cricket's a global game. And unfortunately, the impacts of climate change are felt hardest in places where it's most difficult to adapt to those changes. So linking something that people really enjoy, where they see the impacts of the changing weather like cricket, to the needs to take climate action, I think is a great new way to talk to people about the need for that climate action.
Absolutely. And you're a professor at Reading, and today is the last day of Reading Climate Festival, as well as being Show Your Stripes Day. So are you heading to Reading this afternoon, and what's happening there? Yeah,
that's right. So we've had all sorts of events happening, both large and small, over the last 2 weeks at Reading Climate Festival. And that will all culminate today with an event in Reading Town Hall, where my colleague, Professor Ed Hawkins, who's the inventor of the climate stripes that we were just talking about, he'll be talking about all of the ways in which that very simple idea, that simple graphic that represents climate change, have been used to partner with all sorts of different organizations to get that message of climate action, the need for climate action out there internationally. And so he'll be giving a talk in the town hall with lots of people who've used the stripes, including Formula E racing team, Sony, who've incorporated the stripes into one of their video games, and many other partners who we're working with.
The baton was carried across the grass by electric lawnmower, perhaps one of the more unusual low-carbon modes of transport in this relay. I took the chance to speak to groundsman Alex, who drove the lawnmower, to get his view on the work Lord's is doing for sustainability.
So I'm Alex, and I am a groundsman at Lord's. Have been doing it for a year now. I'm on the apprentice scheme, so yeah, love it here. I've always loved cricket, so yeah, all my life. So yeah, it's a dream job really. Yeah, you wanted to be a professional cricketer, and if that doesn't happen, then this is the next best thing, I think. So
Yeah. And you've just driven the baton over the field on the electric lawnmower. Are all the lawnmowers here electric?
The ones we use on the outfield are, we've bought 3 new ones this year that are all electric. I think we're one of the first grounds to do that. There's been lots of initiatives as well about sustainability in groundsmen. There's rollers as well that we use now that are being made to be sustainable as well, electric. So, yeah, really good, I think.
Is sustainability something that you sort of think about very much? I mean, I guess like a lot of people have been saying that cricket is really quite affected by, the changing climate and all that kind of stuff. Is it something that you care about?
It means a lot. Obviously, it's one of the biggest issues there is. So I think everyone has to do their bit as much as they can. And so, I care about it. But sometimes you feel like a bit frustrated because things happen slower than you want them to. But I think things like the electric mowers and stuff, it's all good signs. We've got new electric floodlights as well this year, LED floodlights. I think we're the first ground in England to do that as well. So those sorts of things are a step in the right direction, I guess,
It was then time for the baton to be on its way again, making the epic 80-kilometre journey from northwest London to Reading by bike ahead of the Climate Festival event on Friday evening. For the very last part of this journey, Carbon Copy trustees Heather and Ric hopped on their bikes and joined the relay. We caught up just after they finished their journey.
Hi, so this is Heather from Carbon Copy, and Rick and I have just joined a team of 5, and we have cycled from Ascot to the Reading Town Hall. And Reading University has their big Climate Stripes bus parked outside, and it's a Friday night in Reading, and there's lots of people around, which is quite cool. But we've brought the baton all the way here to Reading, and it's going to an event tonight.
Yeah.
So,
and maybe I can just describe a little bit the baton because I've been carrying it for most of our stage. So apart from the fact it's actually surprisingly heavy, so I had it in a little backpack slung over my shoulder. But the design is very inspiring, and I love the symbolism behind it. It's basically consists of a lot of wooden sticks in the middle that are wrapped together and held together with this spiral handle, and the handle's got 4 spirals. And the symbolism of that is the 4 different levels of climate action that people can take, from individual to local to national to international. And it's about how all these 4 different levels of climate action come together and must come together in order for us to make the change that we need to make. But also the thing that's really very cool is there's a message that's inside the baton that we are carrying to Westminster. And I've got the message here in front of me, so let me just read it out. This is the message that's inside the baton. And it says, "I call on all political parties to commit to cutting emissions, restoring nature, and helping those most affected by climate change. We are united for people, climate, and nature, and we are running out of time." And that's the message that we are taking inside the baton all the way from Ben Nevis, where we started, to Big Ben and Parliament Square on polling day on the 4th of July.
Our final guests, Harry Stow from England Athletics and Nina Davies from the Green Runners, are working together on a campaign to embed sustainability into athletics clubs across England. And on the final day of the relay, they're calling for runners nationwide to join in with their fellow club, group or community members for a run and a group photo in front of any local clock for precisely 20:30 p.m. when the relay participants in London will be doing the same in front of Big Ben. If you can make it to London to run with the baton, there's still time to sign up to the final leg. You can find out more about all of this via the link in our show notes. But for now, here's Nina and Harry talking about their initiative.
We published our sustainability strategy at the very end of 2022. So, I've been kind of working on the objectives within that since then, and really happy to be working with Nina and the Green Runners.
We know obviously it's crucial to collaborate with the running community and be there to support runners where they are, and hence our collaboration with England Athletics that Harry and I have been working on, for probably coming up for 8 or 9 months, I should think.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so this partnership sounds incredibly exciting. I know a little bit about it from our chat last time, Harry, but would you like to just give a bit of an overview of what you've been doing and talk about the pilot?
Us as a governing body, we obviously have that reach to clubs and groups and events across the country. Through licensing and affiliation, we have a level of influence, but we really, really felt that we needed that to really elevate the work that we want to do in sustainability. We're so fortunate that we've got the Green Runners, who are already a community that exists within the running world, and with their expertise and the added capacity and their the way they can communicate that sustainability message to our audience so brilliantly. It was a brilliant opportunity for us to collaborate and partner. I think our initial plan was that we've got 1,500 affiliated clubs within England, and we're really keen to. We know that we need people on the ground that are campaigning this message and advocating for sustainability. So our initial focus has really been quite club focused. That's not, I guess, the end of where we will go, but it's kind of looking at how can we develop a bit of an army of green champions in our clubs that can be that engine, pardon the horrible pun when we're talking about sustainability, to help change behaviours and to help people do things differently, more aware of the ethical impact of what clubs are doing. So we're in the early stages, but we're really looking to learn a lot from this pilot, with the plan to then go much broader and open it out to all clubs, just like you'd have a welfare officer in a club. Like our dream, I guess, is to have green champions in clubs just like that kind of model.
We know that to really create change and create a big impact, we need the kind of influence from the leadership and the governance, and obviously England Athletics brings that kind of credibility and authority to running clubs, but we know that we also need the kind of on the ground, kind of in the grassroots community piece, and I think that's what we feel so excited about, is almost the pilot itself, but also really hoping to test that model, and that powerful combination. And the ability to really offer clubs a framework, the resources, the kind of support and the training, as Harry said, but that then within that, they can localize it totally to their community. And again, we know that that's really effective when it comes to people actually taking action, is that it means something to them and the community locally, that they can take the principles and the model that we've researched and set up and support for them, but they can go where the energy is in their club, and we're really excited to see if that helps turn the club onto more action, as it were. It's crucial ensuring that people don't feel they have to be an environmental expert, or indeed that they have to be perfect themselves to put themselves forward for a green champion. And this is definitely a key ethos of the Green Runners, is to help people understand that doing something is better than nothing, and that none of us are perfect, and often that fear of sticking your hand up and putting your head above the parapet, it comes from the fact that people don't think they're good enough. And actually, we can all do small things that, offering to be a green champion, if that's where your passion is one of those things, and we'll be there to support with knowledge and resources. So that's not you don't need to come from a place of expertise or deep knowledge. And some of the wins so far, again, I think, just reiterating that thing of it doesn't have to be huge changes to start with. It's, for example, some clubs have done a very small thing, like actually put the address of where to meet for a car share before the address of where the event is, in the order of kind of communicating about an event. And just that little shift in behaviour has encouraged more car sharing. That in itself will then start something else. Another club have actually added into their values and their kind of manifesto as a club, into their mission statement. They've added a piece around sustainability to ensure that there's a kind of wider focus on it from the committee. They've also have introduced a kind of a sustainability lead into their committee. Another club, for example, is looking at purchasing a sublimation machine so that they can print their club logo onto old T-shirts rather than always having to order new kit. So, and these are ideas that are coming from within the community. So it's these small little changes, and then as a team, us being able to share some of those learnings and what's worked and what hasn't, will be really key to kind of keeping the energy behind it.
Thanks so much to everyone who's contributed to this episode. The Carbon Copy podcast is written and presented by me, Isabel Sparrow. The producer and editor is Bradley Ingham. We're taking a couple days off for now, and we'll be back early next week with our next episode from the relay. Until then, goodbye.